What if the biggest threats facing humanity today aren't ancient diseases or traditional global wars, but the terrifying combination of artificial intelligence, biotechnology, ecological collapse, and a total loss of narrative about where our world is heading? How do we make sense of our daily lives when algorithms know us better than we know ourselves, fake news spreads faster than truth, and job markets are changing faster than our ability to learn? Welcome to Book Essence, where we unlock the essence of every book so you get the wisdom without spending weeks reading. Today we are breaking down 21 Lessons for the 21st Century by Yuval Noah Harari, an urgent, mind-expanding guide to navigating the political, technological, and existential challenges of the present moment. Let us unlock it. To understand Yuval Noah Harari's urgent warnings for today, you have to look at the collapse of global stories. In the 20th century, humanity fought a massive ideological battle between fascism, communism, and liberalism. By the late 1990s, liberalism seemed to win. The story was simple: embrace democracy, free markets, and individual rights, and the world will steadily become more peaceful and prosperous. Today, that liberal story is collapsing into profound disillusionment. Harari points out that the twin revolutions in infotech and biotech are creating disruptions that traditional political systems cannot handle. First is the threat to work. As AI, automation, and robotics advance, millions of cognitive and physical jobs are at risk. Unlike the Industrial Revolution, where workers transitioned from farms to factories, the AI revolution threatens to create a vast new class, the useless class. People who are not just unemployed, but fundamentally unemployable, because algorithms perform cognitive tasks faster, cheaper, and without fatigue. Second is the threat to liberty. Liberalism assumes that human voters and consumers possess free will, but as biosensors, big data, and neural networks combine, tech giants are acquiring the power to hack human beings. When an algorithm understands your subconscious desires, fears, and biases better than you do, authority shifts from human intuition to digital networks. Democracy risks turning into a system where voter choices are systematically manipulated by code. As technology disrupts society, humanity is retreating into tribal identities. But Harari proves that ancient political frameworks are structurally incapable of solving 21st century crises. Look at nationalism and community. Humans built nations to unite millions of strangers under a shared identity. But today, humanity faces three existential challenges that no single nation-state can solve alone. Ecological collapse. Climate change and environmental degradation ignore national borders. Technological disruption. If one country bans dangerous genetic engineering or autonomous weapons systems, another country will simply develop them unless there is global regulation. Nuclear war. A single nuclear conflict destroys global civilization, regardless of where the war starts. Harari emphasizes that nationalism is not inherently evil when it promotes civic responsibility. However, when nationalism degenerates into my nation first and only, it prevents the global cooperation needed to solve planetary crises. Similarly, traditional religions, while offering spiritual comfort and social cohesion, often act as obstacles to progress when they cling to ancient dogmas. Religion often reinforces tribal divisions, us versus them, precisely at a time when humanity needs global unity and rational, evidence-based thinking. In this section, Harari tackles the psychological distortions that trigger panic and destructive political decisions, the fear of terrorism, and the threat of war. Harari exposes the true nature of terrorism. It is a psychological weapon, not a physical one. Terrorists are like a fly trying to destroy a china shop. The fly is too weak to move a single teacup, so it buzzes into the ear of a bull, provoking the bull to smash the entire shop in a fit of rage. Terrorists kill very few people compared to car accidents, diabetes, or pollution. However, terrorism succeeds because governments overreact out of fear, waging costly wars and surrendering civil liberties to project an illusion of absolute control. Harari urges citizens and leaders to maintain perspective. Panic is the true enemy. Harari also examines the concept of humility. Every major culture, religion, and nation loves to indulge in a self-centered illusion, believing that their people invented morality, science, democracy, or spiritual truth. Harari dismantles this pride by demonstrating that no single culture holds a monopoly on human progress. Monotheism, morality, and justice existed long before modern religions emerged. Embracing cultural humility is essential if we want to reduce tribal arrogance and build real international trust. We live in an age overwhelmed with information, yet starving for wisdom. Harari dives into the crisis of truth in the modern world, beginning with a striking realization: you know less than you think. Humans suffer from the illusion of explanatory depth. We assume we understand complex systems like how a toilet works, how economies function, or how policy impacts society, simply because experts in our community understand them. We confuse collective knowledge with individual understanding. In reality, individual human ignorance is vast. This ignorance makes achieving justice nearly impossible in a globalized world. When you buy a smartphone, wear clothes, or consume food, your everyday choices are linked through global supply chains to child labor, environmental destruction, and economic exploitation thousands of miles away. The human brain evolved to understand justice in small hunter-gatherer bands of 150 people. It was never designed to process the systemic morality of global trade. Furthermore, Harari addresses the phenomenon of post-truth. Fake news is not a new invention created by social media algorithms. Humanity has always lived in a post-truth era. Religions, political ideologies, and national myths are all forms of shared stories that prioritized social cohesion over objective truth. To find truth today, you must pay for reliable information, consume high-quality science, and remain deeply skeptical of stories designed to make you feel emotionally outraged. Resilience, education, and meaning in a world of constant change. If the future is defined by radical uncertainty, how should we educate our children, and how do we build personal resilience? Harari argues that traditional education, which focuses on memorizing facts, learning specific technical skills, and passing standardized tests, is completely obsolete. In an age flooded with information, the last thing a student needs is more facts. Instead, schools must teach the 4 C's: critical thinking, the ability to filter signal from noise and detect bias; communication, expressing ideas clearly and listening deeply to others; collaboration, working effectively across diverse groups and cultures; and creativity, adapting flexibly when old models break down. The most critical skill for the 21st century is mental flexibility and the ability to continuously reinvent yourself. In past centuries, life was divided into 2 distinct phases: a period of learning in youth, followed by a period of working in adulthood. In the 21st century, that model is dead. By the time you reach middle age, your skills may be completely obsolete. To survive and thrive, you must be willing to let go of old identities, unlearn obsolete habits, and step into the discomfort of being a beginner again and again. Harari closes the book with a deeply personal, practical answer to the technological and psychological storm of our age: self-knowledge through meditation. For thousands of years, philosophers and spiritual teachers advised, "Know thyself." But in the 21st century, this advice is no longer just a philosophical luxury, it is an urgent survival imperative. Why? Because for the first time in human history, external algorithms run by tech corporations and governments are actively competing to hack your brain. If you do not know who you are, what you desire, and where your vulnerabilities lie, an algorithm will exploit those blind spots to sell you products, manipulate your vote, and dictate your emotions. Harari shares his personal practice of vipassana meditation, spending 2 hours every day silently observing physical sensations and the rise and fall of thoughts without judgment or reaction. Meditation is not an escape from reality or a mystical trance. It is the rigorous scientific observation of reality as it is. By observing your breath, your body sensations, and your mental patterns, you begin to see how suffering arises when the mind craves pleasant sensations or resists unpleasant ones. When you know yourself at the level of direct experience, you gain the clarity needed to stay grounded in a chaotic world. Let us bring together the greatest lessons from 21 Lessons for the 21st Century by Yuval Noah Harari. 1. Protect your liberty from algorithms. As AI and biotech merge, guard your attention and self-awareness so technology does not manipulate your choices. 2. Practice global cooperation. Nationalism cannot solve global threats like climate change, nuclear war, and unregulated AI. 3. Cultivate cultural humility. Recognize that no single religion, nation, or culture holds a monopoly on truth or morality. 4. Seek truth over comfort. Recognize individual ignorance, pay for reliable information, and beware of stories designed to trigger emotional outrage.
5. Embrace continuous reinvention. Focus on critical thinking, mental flexibility, and the ability to reinvent your identity throughout your life. 6. Know yourself. Practice self-observation to understand your true nature before algorithms do it for you. Yuval Noah Harari leaves us with a quiet, profound challenge. The greatest story of the 21st century is not yet written. The future depends entirely on the choices we make today, how we use technology, how we cooperate across borders, and how deeply we choose to understand ourselves. That is the essence of 21 Lessons for the 21st Century, and that is what we do here at Book Essence. We take the world's most powerful books and unlock their wisdom so you can build something real, starting from exactly where you are. If this video brought you value, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who wants to understand the forces shaping our modern world today. Every week on Book Essence, a new book, a new lesson, a new chance to grow. Until next time, keep reading, keep growing, and keep unlocking your essence. See you in the next one.